right. All right, everybody. This is Danny from Hard Travel. Got Taylor here. Usually he's on the other side of the camera, as you guys probably know. But I guess I am wearing my Royal Caribbean hat, so maybe I have that as a slight advantage to start with. But today we're going to answer all of your questions as we normally do. But very specifically, we're going to talk about suite class from Norwegian Cruise Lines and suite class from Royal Caribbean. They're a bit tiered and a little bit different going into some of the older ships versus newer ships. We just kind of do a little bit of a smackdown and talk a little bit about what our preferences are and why. So sorry that we were a couple minutes late doing some new technology here. Both got our mics on and everything synced up, hopefully. Hopefully you guys can hear that over there. But I'm just going to do a quick look at the comments, and then we're going to get started here. Question-wise, okay, awesome. So I think we're, I think we are good to go. So lead it off with, what do you think? Norwegian, Royal Caribbean?
I think Royal Suite Class is a little bit more intricate with the different tiers. So I'd say to start out with that.
Okay.
And I would say let's go tier to tier. So entry level on Royal, entry level Norwegian. That way it's fair, I think.
Okay. So in my mind, the only way to really do that is to go back to the older ships. So, you know, Royal Caribbean on their Quantum class and Oasis class does have the tiered Star, Sea, Sky class. We'll get into that in just a second. But with essentially with the entry level on the old school ship. So this is going to be the Radiance class, the Voyager class, and the Freedom class. So several have been totally renovated and updated, and what they all have in common is a suite lounge.
Yeah.
So right away, to me, that's a bit of an advantage over Norwegian because their older ships, most of them don't have a true, you know, Haven lounge, suite lounge like you're going to find on the newer ships. So the Royal Suite class, some of the hallmarks are, of course, that Concierge class, and one of the great things with that is that you have the Concierge lounge. So one teardrop sad thing for me with Royal Caribbean is I'm a Diamond Plus member, and one of the old benefits of that was that as a Diamond Plus member, you get the Concierge Club, which, you know, free drinks in the afternoon every day.
Well, and we found that out on the Anthem too.
Yeah, no, that was pretty sad. So in my early or mid-20s, when I was becoming Diamond Plus, we actually went and did back-to-back cruises when it used to just be 25 cruises. Now it's a point system. So, of course, with suites, you earn double points and all of that. But previously, as a Diamond Plus member, you got the Concierge Club. Now that they put the Diamond Club on all of the ships, anyway, don't get that anymore. So that's just my sad part. But we're actually talking about suite guests who are staying in a suite. So the older Royal ships, one of the things that you're going to find is they are all one-level suites. So, you know, nothing is two levels like you're going to find on the new Royal ships. But really, for Norwegian, none of them are anyway. So that part, I would say, very similar. Talking about suites around the Freedom and the Voyager class. The aft-facing suites on the Voyager class and the Freedom class. One negative that I know you know from when we filmed was, if you check out our videos, the way that the superstructure works, you kind of have an obstruction for all of the aft-facing staterooms, which is where they put the two-bedroom grand suites.
Well, and there's the visibility of the different decks too.
Yes.
Because when I went out and did the pans, it's like, whoa, you can see down into the room below. But you'd really have to actually get up kind of against the railing to look down. But as you walk out onto your balcony, you can see the balcony above you as well as the balcony below you. So that's one thing I definitely noticed.
Yeah, no, completely. And it's basically, if you're in an aft-facing room on Voyager class, Freedom class, you have an obstruction. It's not terrible. The rooms are fantastic. In fact, that is a big plus I would give. Like if we line up, on one of the older Haven class ships, or one of the older ships that doesn't have the full Haven class, if you look at their two bedrooms across the board with Royal Caribbean, everything that they have that's two bedrooms can fit essentially two couples, or, you know, it's a full second bedroom. Whereas with Norwegian, virtually all of them, you're either staying on a couch or you have that, like on their brand new ships, you have the second bedroom that has a pull down bunk and a lower bed. Mm-hmm. So one of the big advantages I give to Royal with this is the fact that you can essentially have the, two beds are made together into what they call a Royal King. So that would be across the board altogether.
Well, I was really shocked the difference in the two-bedroom grand suite on an Oasis class or Quantum class versus on the Freedom or the Voyager class. It's like those two-bedroom afts I mean, they really have compartments like within the room, so you have separate areas for everybody, and that's not really something you usually see in kind of the lower class suites.
No, absolutely, and the nice thing with Royal is that entry level suites, you're going to get a lot of the perks that they have.
Yeah.
One of those that doesn't count on the older ships is the internet. We get that all the time. They do not include complimentary internet on any of the older ships, and frankly, that has to do with bandwidth and cost and expense and the ability to do that. So that's where I'm going to give Norwegian the big advantage, is that you can get your perks in those suites. Now, Royal Caribbean doesn't do perks the way that Norwegian does.
No, it's confusing too. Yeah, because especially on Norwegian, it's like there's all these things that you assume are included. And then at the end, it's, either you're paying up to something, you're paying for the unlimited internet, or you're paying extra money for the dining. I think that's where Star Class really gets crazy.
Right. And so, that's kind of the next tier, which we'll get to next. But just to kind of go back to the older ships, Norwegian has perks. That would be the drink package. Now, always keep in mind, whenever you see a complimentary, quote-unquote, complimentary drink package with Norwegian, that means $20 a day. That's the tips. That's a phenomenal price for a beverage package. Royal, the least expensive I've ever seen it is probably in the $50 range, $40 to $50 range. And that's when it's on a complete blowout promo. But the other thing, too, is when you buy the Royal one, you're getting everything. So for that extra $20 to $30 per person per day, you're getting the specialty coffees, you're getting the fresh squeezed juices, which I love, especially with this.
Which is essentially the highest tier that you pay up to on Norwegian.
Right. And so then essentially, if you got all those things on Norwegian, you'd be paying roughly the same price as Royal, because you have to get the Premium Plus. Now, one of the big service level trade-offs would be a butler compared to a concierge. Now, Royal does not have butlers on any of their ships. They do have a genie. We'll get to that in a minute. But on their older ships, so meaning, basically pre-2008, I guess, would be 2009 is when they really started doing that. But any of those ships, you're going to have a concierge. Now, the concierge is going to help you make plans, appointments, all of that. You don't get them till you get on board, whereas with Norwegian, we get access to the concierge the moment that you book. So there's another kind of advantage that I would put over on the Norwegian side. And then also, it's kind of weird because Norwegian's reclassified a lot of things, but they have suites with a butler and suites without a butler. But it's really actually 24-hour butler service versus during the day butler service. A little bit confusing, but basically, if you have those suites, you're going to have a butler. What level is limited, but that's a huge advantage because these guys can pack and unpack for you. They can make all those reservations, but really, it's on-demand service. The way Royal makes up for that is they give you an expanded room service menu that your concierge can help with. Yeah. So there's a lot of trade-offs. Now, ships themselves, when you compare them, the ships I'm talking to with Royal or with Norwegian are pre-breakaway. So that's doesn't include the breakaway and the getaway and then breakaway plus, the Joy, the Escape, the Encore, sorry about that, and the Bliss. So not talking about those. I gotta say, Royal hands down has this. Doesn't even compare because you look at a 140,000 ton ship to a 90,000 ton ship or 160,000 ton, which is the Freedom class. They're significantly bigger. You have the ice skating rink, the rock climbing wall. One of my arguments that kind of limited to me to how much I booked the older Norwegian ships before a lot of the things that they did was they have so many restaurants on board. So if you're a foodie, hands down, not even close. But the alternative to that is, with Royal, it's so much bigger that you have more complimentary things. So, I can list off a dozen complimentary things with the Royal big ships that don't exist on the smaller ones. Another couple places to kind of compare them is top suites. Now, Royal, with the Liberty, they rolled out what is now kind of the equivalent of the 4-bedroom villa suite. They call it the presidential suite. I've been in it myself. It's fantastic. You've got 4 bedrooms. I mean, you can't really beat that or come close. So it's not quite, maybe 3 on that one. I got to double check. But it's the whole back of the ship. It's a phenomenal setup. So I give that one a big plus for Royal. But those older ships on Norwegian have the garden villa.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got that, and where you have your own private outdoor space.
4,000 square feet of your private, and I said that right, 4,000 square feet of private outdoor space. If you want to check out the biggest room that exists, period. It's 3 full master suites, a full living room. So you got over 2,000 square feet inside, including, on that grand piano. Somebody's going to come and play it for you. Butler service that's unlike any other. In fact, it's been featured on a bunch of TV shows. But if you want to go crazier than that, they're adjoining. So you can put them 2 together and have 12,000 square feet. You get 6 couples together. Honestly, it's a pretty amazing value.
Yeah.
But 12,000 square feet, that would include 8,000 square feet of outside space.
Yeah.
They have 14 passenger dining tables outside. You've got your private hot tub, one for each of the villas. You've got a top level sun deck, a lower level. I mean, this is bonkers.
I mean, that's the ultimate like bachelorette party, right?
It is. I mean, it honestly is. The only thing I would say with that is, we have a much easier time accommodating groups like that because they don't care where they sleep usually.
Yeah.
Like the 2-bedroom grand on Royal, bunk it up, who cares, right? It's not a big deal, put on the couch. But with this, this is 3 true master suites. So, one of the negatives, like if you do a 2-bedroom family villa on a new Norwegian ship, one of the negatives is, like we talked about, you don't really have a true second bedroom with
and one couple will have a drastically different experience. And it's funny because sometimes in the videos you don't get a very good sense of the actual difference, but it's drastically different. I mean, it's basically an inside cabin and then a master suite, and with those huge Norwegian suites, they're all master suites.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean that, and not only that, but they're all ocean facing.
Yeah.
So they have floor to ceiling windows. I can't wait to film one of these garden villas. We had 3 scheduled, and then did you know there's a pandemic happening right now? I found out today.
I've been staring at my screen.
Goodness gracious. Any which way, real quick, because I didn't mention it early on and I get in trouble from this guy, make sure that you hit that like button. We are very, very grateful to have over 100 people in here. We'll only have about 20 likes on there, so that makes a huge difference for us. And then if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. Makes a big difference, but appreciate that. And we're going to get to all your questions today. We're going to answer all of them. I see several coming up, but we do want to do a little bit further on this breakdown.
Yeah. So
let's just put this in. I'm going to say like the gem and the jewel class from Norwegian. So that's going to be, the pearl, the jewel, the jade, a bunch of those. There are some slight differences, but I'll lump them together versus the Voyager and the Freedom class on Royal. So size of the ship and amount of complimentary things, hands down, not even close, goes to Royal.
Restaurants,
the amount of them and the quality of them, hands down, goes to Norwegian. And I would say that that's the main restaurant, the buffet, and the specialty restaurants. And they none of these really truly have a suite restaurant, so we can't really compare that. But one thing that Royal does do is they give you breakfast and lunch in one of the specialties, which is great. Norwegian in the Haven class, you get the equivalent to that. So I line them up. It's pretty similar. So restaurants, dining, Norwegian, hands down. Entertainment. What do you think about that?
I think that depends on the shows that are on the ship that you are on, because somebody could really like one show that's on one ship, but then they're on a different ship. So I think I've just always enjoyed the Broadway shows, and I just think they're always entertaining.
Yep.
Obviously, there are some that I like more than others. The Choir of Man. I mean, that's got to be up there. That totally. Show, Norwegian has hit it out of the park with that one. Yep. But at the same time, you've got amazing Royal shows.
Yeah. So what I would layer in here, I would say entertainment in the big theater probably goes to Royal on this, because the theater is twice as big and they have bigger productions on this age of ship per se.
Yeah.
The Broadway ones are going to be on both of the newer ships from both of the cruise lines. Yeah. But where Royal has a big advantage is the Royal Promenade and the ice skating rink. Yes. Both of those are primary entertainment venues. On the promenade, we always love to hang out at usually the pub right there, the Badger's favorite spot right there. But we like to hang out there because they do parades, but they just have entertainment throughout. They have live music, and the pub, of course, they have the guitarist that's usually playing in the evening. But the ice skating rink is huge because not only can you go and do it for no cost, but you can also take in a show. This is a full production show. And just on a side note, if you guys didn't know this, Royal Caribbean International is the largest employer of Olympic athletes, Olympic ice skaters, with the exception of the Ice Capades.
And diving on the Aqua Theater.
Right, and divers as well on the Aqua Theater. So Ice Capades and Disney on Ice has them beat a little bit because they have so many big shows that tour. But it's crazy to think that a cruise line would be one of the largest employers of ex-Olympic athletes that have been ice skaters. So love that. So I'm going to say entertainment's going to go to Royal, but I think this also falls in line with the ship being a lot bigger, and that's going to allow. Now, size of ship, that's a dual-edged sword for a lot of people. The Royal ships are going to have more passengers. They're going to be bigger in that class, but Norwegian, I might say here that this is a tie because I think there's an advantage to having a smaller ship. We saw that when we were in Canada and New England.
Absolutely.
These ships could get into some of these small ports that a mega ship could never get close to. So I think that's a big advantage. So I'll put that as pretty much a wash because I think the big size has an advantage, the small size has an advantage to it.
Well, I think also a lot of that matters where you're going to, because I think in warm destinations you feel a ship having more people on it more than you would a cold destination.
Right.
And obviously that depends on walkways too, because like the one thing I noticed on going to a bigger ship, but the Joy where you have a lot of that outdoor space that's reserved for sightseeing. If it gets cold, everybody goes indoors.
Right.
And so everybody uses the middle.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's more crowded, but outside, depending on where you're going to be, there are less people.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite things that my wife and I did pre-children, because I don't have time to even be alive right now, things, was bowling. And so I'm going to say that I'm going to put that in as a bonus category and say that they have a full bowling alley. And it's only a couple lanes, not the miniature one, but the full one on the Pearl. And I think the J, I have to double check, but a real bowling alley, that's a pretty unique innovation. Cool. And then I'm going to dock Royal Caribbean some points on the Explorer class because they took out my rollerblading ring. And I'm devastated that I can no longer rollerblade. I'm just kidding. They replaced it with massive water slides. So water slides, advantage goes to Royal, but that's only on a couple of those ships. Those are the ones that have been fully amplified, not yet on the rest. So in the middle there with both of them.
As long as they don't get rid of my Explorer Dunes.
No,
Explorer Dunes is probably one of my favorite miniature golf.
Though what they did on the Navigators, they moved it forward. And
it's not as good. Explorer Dunes,
I don't know. I liked it on the forward. I thought it was a little bit because it was bigger.
No, I think it's good, but it's that new layout where it's not as many breaks and stuff. It's just kind of pretty colors.
Well, Norwegian does not have doesn't have miniature golf on their smaller ship, so that's just
Royal wins though.
Okay, so now value for money is a big question that we get from a lot of people, and I think that there's two big areas where that applies. One is food, right? Norwegian is going to give you a couple specialty restaurants included. Once again, you pay tips, so $5. So maybe you have a $30 to $50 advantage on Royal there, so that's a good one. The other perk that they include is internet. It's very minimal, and everybody pays to upgrade it. So I would call that almost a wash to no internet. I appreciate that, but Royal's really heavy with giving internet to past passengers. So as a Diamond Plus member, I like it. Norwegian as well too with their past passenger. One other past passenger thing that I love for food is that Norwegian gives you bonuses if you're platinum and above. So I'll be platinum on my next Norwegian cruise, which means I get that extra Cagney's and La Cucina, which is always a happy benefit too. So
then you can use your specialty dining for the others.
Right, exactly. So you can basically, I can get 4 for basically paying $10, which is a huge value. But overall, it's really hard. It's hard to line these up. For me, you give your score first, actually. Which between the two, and we're gonna I'm gonna put them where they go the most, the Caribbean, right? That's the number one spot. Which one do you think has the most value and overall is a better experience? Because you're, precursor, his first cruise was on the Explorer, which is
it was Explorer to Alaska. I think this is a hard one. I think this comes down to the food for me. If I'm really going to want the value of the food, I'm going to go with Norwegian. But if you're doing exciting activities, you're doing rock climbing, and you're doing all those fun things, Royal has to take it.
And they're complimentary.
And that's a big deal.
All right, you got to take the stand. So if you're going in the top, well, I think it's pretty easy to say. If we're going in the top suite on the ship, we're both going with Norwegian because the villa, is so absurdly insane.
But if you exclude the villa,
Well, we'll talk about top suites on for the Star or for the Oasis and the Quantum class in a minute. But I mean, the suite hands down. If you're going for the true suite experience, I would say probably Norwegian. I really like having a butler. I think that it makes the difference in the world, or all the difference in the world. For low suites and below, I think it's Royal.
I think it's Royal
because they include more.
Yeah.
And there's more complimentary activities. There's more to do on the ship, and I think the ships being bigger are an advantage. If I'm going to go if I want a small ship experience, I'm going to go way smaller. I'm going to go like Azamara, 30,000.
I'm going to go an R class ship.
Right, exactly. Even Oceania with like a 60,000. I mean, those are going to get to access. So I think what we're saying here is, in this case, I'm going to give the overall to Royal. I think for me, I think for you, now Taylor's more of a foodie than I am for sure. So I think Norwegian may fit. So I think a little bit of a split, and it's hard to compare ships that aren't the same size, but I'm gonna say Royal for that. So now let's move into where it's at today. And this is what we sell the most of by far. This is what we've experienced the most recently over and over again. It's the one
plus,
absolutely.
And then the Quantum.
So what I'm gonna do two kind of line it up two ways. I'm going to say Quantum class versus Breakaway and Breakaway Plus, and then I'm going to say Oasis class versus those two.
Yeah.
Because I think that they really do break down that way, and nothing is as big as the Oasis, and so it's going to have its own. So let's talk a little bit about the suite class, the Haven class on the new ships. So to me, the Epic does have the Haven, and it's actually a pretty good one. The Epic's not my favorite ship for below suites because they basically have studio rooms where
it's strange.
Your bathroom's in your room. And check out some photos someday of the Epic. But the Epic is one-off, and what you can always tell from a cruise line, if they made one of them, they didn't love it.
Yeah.
And so the Epic, I'll put that, it's in its own category, somewhere in between. I'd probably put that above a lot of the Royal Explorer and Voyager, but definitely below the others.
It's an unfortunate name.
It was a bit of an epic failure in room design. Now, the other thing I don't like about that ship is when you walk through it, you have to go up and down floors. And so once again, it was actually built at the same time as the Carnival Splendor, which you have noticed Carnival did not do the Fun Ship 2.0, and they just kicked down under to they took it out of the American market because once again, one-off. One of my favorite features of that was the adult nightclub with the windows into the kids' arcade.
Oh,
but anyway, that's a whole different story. When it first launched, anyway, going way back. So I digress and I get excited talking about those kind of things. But what happened is what you see is everything changed with Norwegian with the Breakaway class, just like everything changed with Royal with the Quantum class. And I'll line those up first. So with Royal, when you got the Quantum class, it's where they introduced they introduced Star class at the same time on both the Quantum class and the Oasis class. So roughly the same time. But it's where they launched their new suite product. So for Royal, what that means is you have three tiers. You have C class, that's junior suites. You buy a junior suite on Royal because you want more space, you want some upgraded amenities, but you really don't get the full suite class. I mean, you maybe get one or two dinners in Coastal Kitchen.
I mean, you're paying for the room size.
Absolutely.
That really is what it is. And I was actually pretty shocked at how much bigger the room really does feel.
Right.
And you walk in and it doesn't feel like a hallway. It feels like an actual room.
And if you compare it to what Norwegian is now calling their club balconies, which is a mini suite, it's way bigger.
It's way bigger than that.
It's almost, it feels like double the size. I know it's not quite, but it's significantly bigger and a significantly bigger balcony as well. Yes. So as we kind of work through that, that's the first tier. So basically junior suite. The easy way to keep it in mind, C is at the bottom. Then you're going to see Sky, and then you'll see the stars up in the sky, right? So Sky class is the next. Now, this is a monumental advance for Royal. What they did on these ships is they built a suite-only restaurant. They built a suite lounge and a suite sun deck. So what that means is you have three spaces that you go to that effectively make it a small boutique ship with super high quality services included. And Norwegian, we'll get to in a second, has a very similar thing. Now, the basic inclusions with this would be a concierge, which I love because this person's going to make all your reservations.
Which is in the lounge.
Right, and being full suite class, you're also going to get special access in the theater. So these are reserved seats that are in the theater. You'll have special reserved access to the North Star, the giant arm that goes up, crane arm, take you up 300 feet. Skydiving, that's awesome, complimentary once again. And the flow rider, you're going to have special times when you can go there. And of course, you board early and you disembark early if you want. So huge advantages. We all know the worst part of a cruise is getting on the cruise and getting off the cruise. That's my least favorite part.
Absolutely.
Inside the room, you have the upgraded L'Occitane bath amenities. You have the upgraded, towels and sheets, and also a super upgraded room service menu. Mm-hmm. But what really changed for Royal was building out those 3 spots where you can go.
Yeah.
So the last tier is Star Class. Now, to be fair, nobody else has anything close to Star Class. So we're going to say that over and over again with this Norwegian comparison.
But that's mainly, it's not necessarily because of the inclusions. It's the combination of the experience with the amenities on the ship.
Right. And
because there are other companies where you can get crazy luxury products where you do have that butler, but to be able to go skydiving and then go in the North Star and then go see a Broadway show and have that level of service, that just doesn't exist.
No. Well, and beyond that, the suites that classify Star Class are the most unique, the most stunning, and the most beautiful in the entire industry. I mean, it really, truly doesn't compare to anything else. So, Star Class, what it's going to include everything for you. So, unlimited beverage package that includes, like we were talking about, the juices, the espressos. If they have it and it's not crazy high shelf, doesn't include Louis the 15th, but it does include just about everything else on the menu. So it's truly inclusive. It gives you the unlimited dining package. That means you can eat at a specialty restaurant every lunch and every dinner of the entire cruise. There's a few days when they may not be open for lunch, but once again, you always have to go.
Well, and that depends on port days, and that depends on Coco K and all that stuff.
Yep, of course you're going to get what every Sky Class gets to, Coastal Kitchen, Suites on Deck, Concierge Lounge, and all that. But in addition, you're also going to get prepaid gratuities. So this is, for you put 6 people in a Royal Loft Suite, that's almost $1,000 in gratuities there. And everybody in the room gets a login. Now, this is a true internet login. Royal Caribbean does by far have the fastest internet at sea, not even close. It's called Boom Internet. It's a partnership with, is it O2, O3?
I will say that we uploaded the Encore ship to
I don't know that you can even legally say that
on the Boom Internet. That it's fast.
An hour and 45 minute hot 4K, ultra high def. So we actually hopped, just for your reference, what Taylor's talking about. We hopped from the Oasis of the Seas. We hopped from the Encore inaugural to the Oasis of the Seas shakedown cruise to the Symphony of the Seas. So those 3 videos, when you see them that we put out, those were actually done on consecutive days. But we were really blown away that we could upload a video like that of that bandwidth and quality on it. So that's ridiculous, but unlimited. So every person gets 1 login that is truly unlimited.
And you don't have to upgrade. It's fully.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pivot to Norwegian, and then what we'll do is we'll do a suite description at the end and kind of put the suites head to head. So now we're in Norwegian. Let's talk about the Breakaway and the Breakaway Plus.
Yeah.
So Breakaway, Getaway, and Escape all have the full haven. You see an evolution within them. So
absolutely.
What's very different about these ships than what Royal offers is that the haven is a key card access area. So it's important to note that you have 2 kinds of haven suites. Those located outside the haven, those located inside the haven.
Well, courtyard rooms.
Right. Well, right.
And non-courtyard rooms.
Right. So like on the Breakaway, and the Joy, whatever, you have these forward-facing haven penthouse suites, aft-facing, great rooms, but they're not located in the haven itself. So they have all the same amenities, same access, but there's something wonderful about walking outside of your room a few steps and having a lounge right there, having your restaurant right there, having your pool right there, having your sun deck right there. And no offense to everybody else on the ship, but not having them there. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole purpose. You're paying an upcharge to have these special spaces.
Well, for me, it takes that experience of having all of those amenities at your fingertips, like the go-karts and the climbing walls and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you can go out and experience those and come back to your boutique hotel experience. Because just when you stand in the pool area of, say the Escape, and it's like
it's pronounced Escape.
Escape.
Sorry about that.
The restaurant and the lounge are right there. You walk up the stairs, you're into the sun deck. I mean, everything is so self-contained, and you don't really ever have to leave.
No. I have a customer who I just talked to yesterday that they're going on their 7th or 8th haven, and the wife never leaves the haven. She won't even go to shows, anything. She says, I go on there, and if I need it, my butler's going to bring it, and that's it. And, totally can do that.
And for me, the one thing that Royal can't compete with is, this is only on the 3 newest ships, is that observation lounge.
Oh yeah,
that observation lounge. Nobody can touch them on that.
I've never walked into a space on a cruise ship, and I've seen just about every cruise ship category that there's ever been made. I've never walked into a space where my jaw drops like that.
Yeah,
2, almost 3 stories high of full glass.
And it goes up and comes over. That's one thing the video can't really show. It is that that slanted window doesn't just go up 2 stories. It actually goes over top of you. So it's just like you're in this glass observation like dome stuck on the front of the ship.
Yep.
And then you have, like, at first I didn't really know if I liked those 2 kind of coves on the side.
Right.
But it's really nice to just go in there and sit and then just be able to like turn over.
I'll tell you when you'd really appreciate those, if you were in the deluxe owner suite right above them. Which is why they're like
exactly,
for sure.
Of course.
For sure. So, but yeah, so I mean, you've probably seen our video. If you haven't, I highly recommend you check out our Encore Haven video.
It has the rooms and all the public spaces.
Absolutely, but it really, it's hard to explain. But Frank Del Rio is the CEO of Norwegian Holdings, the whole company. He actually came over from Regent and Oceania when Norwegian merged and purchased them. But he is all about ultra luxury. I mean, which you see. I mean, Regent is.
What was the first ship that came out after he joined?
The Escape was really the first.
So he was post Epic.
Oh yeah. Okay. I actually think he might have even joined after the Breakaway, if I remember right.
Oh,
and what you see is between the 6 ships, there's such an evolution.
Oh, absolutely.
Once you get to Joy, it's pretty much the same. Joy, Bliss, and Encore. But previously, you see them trying to work things out, but they're very different. Like on the Escape, not having that forward-facing observation lounge. If you've never had it, you don't know you missed it. But I really missed it when we went on.
And Getaway and Escape.
And no, for sure. I mean, the Getaway, the Breakaway, the Escape, not having that forward-facing lounge, but the Escape has the amazing, godfather of having Pitbull, who we got to see perform and launch it. So, I mean, that's a big advantage too.
And don't forget
Mr. 305.
And don't forget those 2 massage rooms and the sauna.
Yeah, actually, one of my clients who is a huge spa fanatic, they won't go on the newest ones because the Breakaway and the Getaway not only have treatment rooms there, but if you walk down the stairs, you can go straight to the spa. And so if you're a spa lover, you may want to actually think about some of those older. But of course, the spas on the new ships are ridiculous.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Anyway, so
that being said, going from the Encore, because I'd never been on one of those older ships and seen the spas. Yeah, as I said, Encore blows everything away as far as, but I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel like older or anything. It just felt a little bit smaller, maybe a couple fewer treatment rooms, but you still have the snow room.
Well, and I mean, I remember the first time I went on the Getaway. That was at that point, it was the biggest ship that they'd had. I was blown away because it's all point of reference. I mean, I've been on over 300 cruise ships, and I struggle sometimes because I notice the little things that my clients never notice and just say, hey, this is what we love. And, that may be a better way to approach it.
And it's very interesting when circumstances change in your life and you have new challenges. Like my father's probably going to have to be in a wheelchair on his next cruise.
Yeah.
And seeing that one of those treatment rooms in the Haven, it was wheelchair accessible.
Yep.
They have all of those wheelchair accessibility stuff in the spa.
Yep.
So if you want to get them in the treatment pool and all that stuff, that's all possible. And that's just incredible to me that they're almost the most accessible vacation you can.
I mean, I would argue hands down it is the most accessible vacation you can absolutely do. And we work with a lot of customers who have accessibility needs and issues. In fact, one of my great friend, Laura, who she handles most of that because she's in that position herself, and she just knows things that somebody who's not in a wheelchair will ever understand. And I know you've learned a lot from your dad and will continue to. I mean, I noticed a little bit of a difference when my daughter was born and we have a stroller. And it's like, what do you mean I can't go down those stairs? But it really opened up. And then I had the unfortunate, injury that I had earlier in the year. And I was in a scooter, wheelchair scooter for one of my cruises on the Norwegian Joy. And I learned a lot of things about, the fact that you don't want that room that's at the end of the hallway, even if it's accessible, because you're going to be having to compete with, room service trays and people walking in them. And I may have bumped into a few carts and things like that too. But, it's important that if you have special needs for a cruise or any kind of vacation, that you specifically work with somebody who understands that.
Yeah.
But to Taylor's point, the newest ships are by far the most ADA compliant, and I absolutely love that you have that Courtyard Haven suite on all of the new Norwegian ships that are accessible. Because one of the things that I will knock Royal on in that sense is they do not have any Star Class suites in their entire fleet that are handicap accessible. They do have a crown loft on the big ships, which I love, and those are stunning. But having the Star Class amenities are great.
Harmony and Symphony?
I believe the accessible one, the crown loft, is on all four.
It is on all four.
I believe so. But and they do have there's I believe brand suites that are accessible,
Yes,
and also phenomenally Royal also has those ultra spacious families that are accessible as well too. I have one family that we work with where there's a family of 5, which is really hard to find a room for. That's not a big suite, and they always take that, and he loves it because it's accessible, and so the balcony he can get out and move around completely. It always takes the exact same room on the Oasis every single year. But once again, those are we kind of digress because that's what I do, and you could probably imagine what being in my classroom was like as a history teacher. But we're going to keep digging through this. So where we were was talking about the inclusions from the different tiers. Now, for the Breakaway and up, you only have 2 tiers. You have Haven and you have not Haven.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say that, and I just remember that they just tweaked some of those rooms on the Joy to be suites that are not Haven.
Yeah.
So the Joy has some unique ones. These used to be what's called Concierge class. They built it for the Chinese market because they were basically their research said that they needed a room that could hold 6 because Chinese families like to travel in larger groups. Also, they had all of those extra concierge rooms that became, the lounge, the concierge lounge became the observation lounge, and then they built it out. So once again, digress. But when you look at Haven, what's great about it is the entry level, the least expensive. Usually that's the forward facing.
Forward facing.
That's what I had on my last one.
Yeah.
Usually it's the forward facing. That includes the full Haven amenities. So you're going to get the drink package with the tips you pay. You're going to get the dining. 2 of them now. They've reduced that down. I think it's a little bit of a bummer. I feel like for Haven that they should move it up. But
they should keep it up. But
once again, Royal offers 0, or Royal offers 0 in Sky Class, unlimited.
But see, the thing is, you have that Haven restaurant.
Right.
We have that Haven restaurant. So I mean, for me, that's not that. I don't really care.
I get it. I just want sushi every day for every meal, twice a day. So we're good. I'll work through that in my own life.
He's not kidding.
No, anyway. Food Republic or Azumi. It's going to happen before every meal. So basically, the other amenities that are on there are the butler. So every person who has a Haven room has a butler. So that is an advantage that I would hands down give to Norwegian.
There's a difference inside Haven, outside Haven.
Right. And so we talked about the inclusions of the dining, right? Royal has Coastal Kitchen, Norwegian has Haven. I would say they're pretty much equivalent menu-wise, service-wise, but hands down Norwegian because it's in the Haven.
It's in the Haven.
And this is a huge add-on is the outdoor dining at the Haven restaurant that exists on the Escape and Up.
Yes.
So the 4 newest Breakaway Plus class ships. I love to dine under the stars. I love to dine outside. My wife not as much. In fact, she will only do it on a cruise ship because there's no bugs when you're moving. So if we're sailing, she's good. In port, we're not allowed. But anyway, different story. Give an insight into my marriage. But
no, I will say the exception to that, as far as giving Norwegian the hands down win, is if you are in one of those loft suites on an Oasis class because the Coastal Kitchen and the lounge are right there. So you don't technically have to go. I mean, you kind of.
I put it. This is just my perspective. I would put it as a tie in that case, but I would give the win to Norwegian for having open air dining, and they're bigger.
Yeah,
the restaurant is
and it's
big.
not combined with the lounge.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing too is with Norwegian, there's a lot more bigger suites. So one of the big, when we're talking, well, let's get to that in just a second. So Quantum, let's do Quantum and Breakaway Plus, right? Yeah. Same exact size. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the suites themselves. We talked about all the amenities, the inclusions. So now the suites themselves, I don't even know that I really care to give a comparison.
There's no comparison.
It's Royal for the big suites. Yeah. Because the top suite, you take the deluxe owner suite with Norwegian. It's a great suite. I mean, it's a phenomenal suite. It's 1,500 square feet, a full second bedroom that's really nice, which Quantum class, and I'll say this, does not have anything other than the Royal Loft Suite with a second bedroom. So top suites, comparing them.
And it's not technically a bedroom because it's a couch bed.
But top suites, when you compare them,
Yeah.
And right now in Alaska, believe it or not, the Royal Loft Suite is costing what the Deluxe Owner Suite is costing, which is ridiculous.
That is pretty ridiculous.
The Royal Loft Suite on the Quantum class is the most beautiful, my favorite suite on any ship in the world. That includes the Regent Suite that's 4,400 square feet and ridiculously over the top because it's 2 levels. You have that feeling of open air. You have a huge aft-facing balcony and 2 side-facing.
And just, I think that the real big game changer for me was the fact that you have those 3 separate outdoor areas. Mm-hmm. I mean, I mean, you think about that and it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to use it. But if you're in your master bedroom, which is upstairs in the Royal Loft or Owner's Loft or whatever, you can just come back and go out the balcony and not disturb the people that are below.
Yep. And
they can go out and they have a side-facing one that's quieter. You've got the aft-facing one.
Well, Royal Loft has like that little outdoor pool balcony or like jacuzzi type on there, which is great. I mean, the nice thing about the Deluxe Owners on Norwegian is that it does wrap around.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage. Like when you're in Alaska, you can see both. But it's also forward facing. So if you're in any kind of inclement weather, you don't use the balcony. You don't use much. But that said, you have unlimited times where you can play Jack and Rose at the front with your spouse. Come on, what's better than cruising through? I guess if you're going through the glaciers,
I will say the interesting thing for me that Norwegian prioritizes in those suites is the views from the bathrooms.
Yeah,
and the tubs.
Yep.
That's one thing that they really focus on, and we know there are people that want tubs.
Absolutely.
And they want to soak, and there are some rooms that are in Star Class.
Well, on the Quantum class, the only room with a tub is the Royal Loft.
Royal Loft.
And
so you have to go to 2-bedroom Grand Dam,
which is Sky Class. That's a big limitation is that you can't, if you want a bathtub, now it depends on what you want it for. If you're talking about an adult soaking, absolutely. Yeah. But what we do is there's 2 showers in those, which is nice on those lofts. And so we take a kiddie pool, put it in there, and my daughter does not care whatsoever. I mean, to her, it's a bathtub. She can splash around. And we've been doing her first cruise. You can start cruising with kids about 6 months for most lines. Her first cruise was 6 months and 10 days. So, I mean, we got on that ship as soon as we could. We even put that was on Princess with a tiny bath or shower that's not that big. But once again, you can innovate and figure out how you want to do it yourself. But
see, the thing is, like those afts, the fact that all of those loft suites on the Quantum class are all aft.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows you love aft. I give them the win for that position on the ship. I just love aft facing rooms.
Yeah, no, I would prefer that every time. Now,
I feel like the balconies are bigger too because they
considerably
are
bigger.
Considerably bigger.
Considerably bigger. Now, the only thing that I would compare is the aft facing penthouses, the extra large aft facing penthouses on Norwegian are roughly the same size as a Grand Loft Suite or an Owner's Loft. But the difference is being 2 stories inside, you have 2 stories of window. You got, what is that, 18 feet or something like that, 17, 18 feet high, and the light that it brings in. But just standing in a room that's 2 stories high on a cruise ship is mind-boggling. If you've cruised as often as I have, I mean, I hit my head on everything, absolutely everything. And to walk in there and just have the oh my goodness, I don't have to duck down anymore is a huge one. And then of course, the dad recliner chairs that they have in there are a huge advantage.
That is, that's a win for Will.
So I'm gonna digress and say if you have a family of 5 or 6, hands down, it's gonna be It's gonna be either Royal Loft or Norwegian. Now, one thing that Norwegian does is phenomenal is in their new ships, they have 32 of the 2-bedroom family villas. Now, if you have a family of 4 or 5, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Well, that's our best line room.
Oh, by far. Of all lines.
No
we sell more 2-bedroom villas because it's so perfect for that. So, I mean, picture a family of 5, right? You got the extra bedroom, extra TV for kids. You put 2 of them in there. Bunks. Most kids like bunks. That's great. You got your own separate bathroom. So, kids are gross and they can do their own bathroom thing in there.
And it's self-contained too.
Totally. You shut the door.
The bathroom is
and
in
it's dark.
The second bedroom.
Well, and it's an interior space, which I think is an advantage because it's dark. And with kids, it's nice to have that. Now, let's say you have the 5th kid or 6th, though they can go in the living room area, which does have a couch that converts to a bed and another TV. So there's 3 different compartmentalized areas where you can relax. And, we all know that families love to be together, but they need to decompress too.
And they have a decent amount of storage, I think, too.
A huge amount of storage, which I mentioned a few times in there, maybe open up a few things. And they have soft touch clothes most of the time. We were on the Encore inaugural, and we did figure out that they activate the soft touch close. They have to like click something in the back there, and so every time I opened something, it kept bouncing out, and I couldn't close anything during those videos. So anyway, that's a different story. So let's talk about more of these rooms. So now Royal, we talked about the Star Class. Now these Star Class and one Sky Class, guys, a loft is insane. Yeah. When you see the videos, the one thing that the video can never capture perfectly is the sense of volume and the sense of height. So walking in a room that's 2 stories high, I mentioned this a few times, it's insane. So the grand suites, it's important to note that you have 4 of them that are in the middle. Bigger balconies, yes, but does not have the side balconies. Yeah. You've got 2 on deck 10 that are going to have on the corners. So they have the side and the back facing. And then you have the Royal Loft and the owners. One secret that you may not know, is that the Sky Loft on board the Quantum class, these ones were built as Star Class, so it has the upgraded marble and all of that. But they put it down to Sky Class because ship-wide they wanted less Star Class passengers. They found that to provide the service and the access and everything they wanted, they needed one less. So you have that, and then of course you have the classics. For large families, the 2-bedroom grand suites. They're way bigger and way better for families than the 2-bedroom Haven villas. And they feel very upgraded. Even comparing them to, say, Oasis or Allure. Yeah. They feel, it's just, I think they may have done, so it just feels like a spa room. Right. No, I mean the decor, though I would say Norwegian's decor on their new ships is flawless. Yeah, actually I would say that those 2-bedroom grands on those ships are the most like Norwegian. Like I could be put in that room and I would have to really think and go, oh yeah, I'm on a real ship. Well, and just FYI, space-wise, they're bigger than the 2-bedroom villas from Norwegian. Now the big difference in the knock is the bathroom. On the 2-bedroom villas on Norwegian, you got the huge soaking tub with the beautiful views of the glaciers if you're in Alaska. You got the huge view from the tub and the shower. Well, you got the huge shower with the rainforest shower head. And the poof, don't forget the poof. But on Royal, you get a lot more space on the 2-bedroom, but it has the, my biggest hatred of everything on a cruise ship is the shower curtain. And in the Master, it's a shower bath combo, and I'm too tall to stand in there. Yes. Now, it does have a full second bathroom, so I can use that. But with a family, the other nice thing is those hold 8, because you can put 2 in the living room on the couch bed. And in the second bedroom, you have 2 beds that push together, so perfect for a second couple, or 2 beds that pop down. Beyond that, you're going to have the owner's suite, which is just a really large, suite, 1 bedroom, and then you have the grand suite, 1 bedroom that opens up. And then on Quantum, you also have the grand suite, 1 bedroom with large balcony. I just my last customer that I just talked to before we started this, that's what they purchased. And what's great about it is it's by the elevators there where the ship bows out. So you kind of have a side-facing view and then an angled forward and a really large balcony. And that's actually the same space that has the junior suite, studio, and balcony combo. Right. That we filmed triple threat. Yeah, we filmed a video. It's funny because we didn't really know about that configuration, and the guy that was leading us around the ship was like, "Hey, let me show you this. This is really cool." And so that's kind of a cool, if you're looking for that multiple bedrooms setup where you have maybe one person wants to sleep alone and have their own bathroom. Yep. That's a killer setup. Totally, and it's the same spot, so you get that wraparound balcony. That's just it's absolutely awesome. But so big picture on Norwegian, I said you got the forward facing. I love the aft facing penthouses. That's a great category no matter how you fly it. Yeah. So now that we've kind of put them together, the size is roughly the same. So it's easy to, I don't have to say disregard one. So Breakaway Plus, let's line it up and let's give our tops of what it is. So starting with dining, I'm going to say, as much as I love Jamie's Italian and as much as I love what Royal has, I'm going to give it to Norwegian. Norwegian, hands down. Once again, I'm going to say that this is the buffet. This is the main dining room dining. I personally think that the Haven restaurant is maybe a little bit ahead of Coastal Kitchen. Yeah. Definitely with that extra outdoor dining area. No, I will say on that is I have always felt like the Haven restaurant is fancier. Yeah. Even though there isn't like a strict dress code or anything, it feels, it's quieter, it's darker, it just feels. Let's go with sophisticated. Sophisticated. Yes, yes, of course. Yeah. But specialty restaurants, Norwegian has twice as many, and I think that they're all good. I haven't had a bad experience I mean, we had Cagney's the last time, which is amazing. Onda by Scarpetta may be the best Italian meal I've ever had on a cruise ship, and that goes up there in my mind. Pretty much ties Prego from Crystal, which is, I mean, you know how that sits in my mind. But so dining, I think, goes to Norwegian. So let's talk what next about entertainment. Norwegian has the Broadway style entertainment on board, and I don't think Royal on the Quantum class does the full Broadway shows.
But they also have 270.
Totally. Well, venues wise.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it's like I think it's a wash if you're talking theater. But that 270 that takes it to a different level, because that it's not just the show, it's that the venue is so unique. So
what Taylor's talking about is at the very back of the Quantum class ships, they dedicated 3 stories really to an entertainment venue called 270. So the windows floor to ceiling. If you're in Alaska, it's a great place to check out the glaciers. But what they did is they built it as an interactive entertainment venue. So people come up from the down from the ceiling, up from the floor. It reconfigures itself, and they have these 6 huge TV screens that dance. They're kind of like robotic. It's pretty cool. But also there's a dining venue in there called Cafe 270. They use it for movies, but it's a really versatile venue. And I think that there is nothing anywhere close to that on the Breakaway Plus. Now, other entertainment venues on Breakaway Plus, you can count Q as an entertainment venue because they do the country show. And then on the Breakaway class ships, that's actually the Magic Show. And it's a Cirque du Soleil. It's really good. They do Wine Lovers, the musical. So that's a great venue.
And they have bikes.
They do have bikes. I love the Beatles venue, the Cavern Club.
Oh yeah.
Which Royal
has
to get
into though.
Really hard to get into, which is a negative. But if you want to do it, you make it work. You figure that out. I'm trying to think, what are the other entertainment venues on those? The
one thing about the Beatles tribute with the Cavern is one night they usually do it in the main theater.
Yeah.
So if you miss out on that and that was great.
Right, and they do 3 shows, kind of like the early catalog, the middle catalog, and the later catalog of the Beatles. When I was on the inaugural for, was it the Joy we were on, or the Encore that Paul McCartney's was it sister? I think
it was
John Lennon's
sister.
Joy. I'm getting it wrong. Sorry. Somebody's sister who runs the Cavern Club. One of the Beatles. One of those guys. The big mops on their head and cool songs and such. Anyway, I'll keep going there. So that. But for me, having Choir of Man, having Kinky Boots, Footloose, having the true Broadway style that Royal puts on the Oasis class, on the Quantum class, or on the Breakaway Plus, I would give the edge a little bit to I think the edge for me anyways is probably going to be a little bit to Norwegian in the entertainment, because these are over the top full Broadway shows. And like I said, Choir of Man was hands down the best show I've ever seen on any cruise ship.
I was blown away. Just the audience participation, and they bring people on stage and make them part of the show.
But I knew every song that they sang, and it was the songs that I wanted to belt out, and I pretty much did. But that's the cool thing; it's interactive, and of course, they let you drink on the stage.
But at the same time, Matt Yee,
of course.
So if you're gonna have a ship with Matt Yee on it, that's
So and he's referring to the Schooner Bar show, right? And they're always good on Royal, but check out Matt Yee's join Matt Yee's fan club. He's a hilarious dude. He does this over the top his Divas show. It's pretty funny, but it's just kind of an adults only, get after it, laugh until you cry, and what you find is that Schooner Bar gets full every single night, kind of in the way the Cavern Club does.
It's true, and it grows. It's like it starts at, and it's one of those things where you walk through and you're like, oh, what's going on here?
Well, by the end of the cruise, he does it at 270.
Yeah, he did it at 270.
Packed house. It's pretty funny. It's pretty. So entertainment, we're going to give that to. I'm going to give that personally. I'm going to give that to a slight edge to Norwegian on that. But Royal does a phenomenal job. The comedians, having the dedicated comedy club that they have on Norwegian. I really like that venue.
And they use it as a nightclub too.
Right, and as a nightclub venue is great, but I mean the rock room is pretty tough to beat on Royal. So I mean, they each have their. It's probably a wash, but now let's talk about inclusions and amenities. So if you go to Star Class, it's going to be Royal hands down because it's so far above and away.
It's so inclusive,
and Norwegian doesn't tier it. Basic suite class, anything but the very top, I'm going to give to Norwegian.
Norwegian, I feel like that. I mean, for me, that's the easy break point. Is once you get to Star Class and you get all of those included amenities, it has to be Royal. They have to win. And then anything kind of in that, I guess I would say Sky Class.
Yeah.
In a Sky Class bandwidth, if you're not looking for a very specific itinerary or a very specific room layout, like for instance, the owner's suite or those other ones, or if you wanted that Star Class decoration in a Skyloft without the amenities, that's a killer deal. Like that's kind of one of those secrets that I think is really for somebody that wouldn't use the amenities. And I think for me, because it's like there is that assumption that everybody's going to use all of those included amenities.
Right.
And I think there are some people that it's like, oh,
it's just you.
Yeah.
Just you. I use every amenity. Just kidding. I'm not messing.
Yeah, but it's.
So what we didn't talk about was the genie. Which
well, because it's not fair.
Well, no, but we're talking
that's
about
not
Star
fair.
Class now.
Yeah.
So
okay.
the Royal Genie, if you don't know what that, one, we have a really in-depth. Taylor made an amazing video, very in-depth on Star Class with Royal. We have Haven videos for each of the ships that we film, but this is truly dedicated to Star Class, and it goes in depth. So we highly recommend if you're ever interested in Star Class, check that out. But the Royal Genie is a totally different ballgame. Now they're not a butler.
No, they
can make anything that a butler does happen for you, but it's beyond it. So about 3 to 6 weeks, we're going to reach out. They're going to reach out, and they're going to do a full preference sheet. They're going to ask you all kinds of crazy questions about what you're, if you're going to Mars and you can only bring one item in the trunk of your Tesla, right? What is that one item? Are you a morning person? What kind of drinks do you like? The idea of a genie, and keep in mind, you have 8 suites on Quantum Class that have a genie. That's it. 8 suites on the entire ship. They are the key that unlocks the entire ship to you. So if you want a last-minute restaurant reservation, they're going to walk you down and get you in. If you want your coffee prepared a certain way at the same time every single morning, they've got that set. If you want to do a princess birthday party for your kiddo, that's me, they'll take care of that for you. But
and
really,
they come down to the cruise terminal and escort you up to your room.
So now Haven, you do get that Haven lounge, and then they do, similar to the butler takes you up, but Royal doesn't really have that, and most of the other ones don't, except for this. So they go into the terminal, like Taylor said, they walk you up, take you into your room, get you started, whatever you need. This is an over-the-top experience. It is important to note that neither the butler or the genie, butler on Norwegian, butler is tipped. So you would have to tip them, which you should, and they are well worth it. In fact, it's kind of the pinnacle of achievement for them to get that job because it's so over the top. But basically, with Star Class, everything is included, and you have access to everything. And everything's complimentary pretty much. So, I mean, if you think about it, every drink you have is not going to cost you more. The internet's not going to cost you more. Every specialty restaurant's not going to cost you more. Going skydiving, free. North Star, free. Flow Rider, free. Set up the bumper cars, free or included. That word's maybe misleading. But with Norwegian, if you take the Encore, the butler's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, and it goes all the way down to the lowest Haven suite. But you're going to pay for the racetrack. You're going to pay for
upgraded
internet, pay for the upgraded dining, pay for the upgraded drinks, pay for the laser tag. And so when you line it up, I argue in many cases that Star Class may be the best value if you can get a price. Now,
absolutely.
For Alaska next summer, the Quantum was a late add. So we have a group, the 14th of June. If you want to go to Alaska, we'd love for you to join us. But if you want Star Class or Sky Class, you better hurry up because our customers are booking them all. We have the Royal Loft Suite already booked on that sailing. The Owner's Loft Suite booked. I have one more of the corner Grand Lofts in our inventory. So if you want that, reach out right away. Couple Sky Lofts. All the 2-bedroom Grands are waitlisted now. The 1-bedroom Grands are waitlisted, but we do have a few of the large balconies. So anyway, long story short, you can get Star Class in Alaska, family of 4, under 10 grand. Now, that may sound like a lot of money to some people, but the 2-bedroom family villa on Norwegian Encore for the same cruise, you're looking at $18,000. The deluxe owners, you're looking at $20,000 to $22,000.
And that's without all of the inclusions.
Without all the inclusions. Now, the Royal Loft, I sold 3 Royal Lofts in Alaska this week on the Quantum because they're paying like $16,000 to $18,000 for that Royal Loft suite. This is insane. It's bigger than my house for sure.
Yes.
It's 2 stories. It's got a much better master bathroom than I have. And it's the entire back corner of the ship. It actually has won architecture awards the cruise ships never win. Like land-based architecture awards, people have been so blown away by it. So if you've ever wanted to try Star Class out, under 10 grand in Alaska this summer, you're never going to come close to that again. Because think about that. You have 4 people in there. All the drinks, like we talked about, the dining, the genie, they take you around and do whatever it is. And we're going to go 2 on that. So you have 2 extra genies here. Blink, blink, wink, or whatever genie does, right? Is that the nose twitch? I forgot. Sorry, been a while since I watched Bewitched. But anyway, we're going to have all of those extras. We're going to have our own excursions that you can add on to if you'd like to join us, both family friendly and adults only. We open up all those extras too. But in Alaska this summer, the best value by far is Quantum. Just like last summer, the best value in Alaska was the Joy, because they pulled the Joy from China. This year, they're pulling the Quantum from China. So unbelievable there. So lining it up, just to wrap this up, because we still have the Oasis and we're an hour in. Sorry about that. We're not sorry. We're enjoying this. Hopefully you are too. But when you line up the 2, Star Class, to me, hands down, by far, is better than anything Norwegian offers. Sky Class, I'm going to give to, if you compare Sky Class with Norwegian Haven, I'm going to give Haven hands down.
The only asterisk I'm going to add to that is because all those activities are included. So if you're looking at the skydiving, you're looking at North Star, you're looking at those features. If you are the type of person who's going to use those, Flow Rider included, if you're going to use those every day, and you're and the Seaplex, it's like I almost forget the Seaplex. I mean, so many things are included on Royal that if you're a family and all the people are going to take advantage of those. Where Encore is amazing and has the the laser tag and go karts, but you're paying every time you're doing that. Right. So I think the value kind of switches back to Royal there, but for everybody else, as far as Sky Class goes, you have to give it to Norwegian.
Well, and to me, if you're going to Alaska, there's not a better ship that goes to Alaska than the Encore as far as viewing.
Yes, viewing, yeah.
The Quantum as far as inside spaces.
Yes.
So, one of the other things that we kind of talked about, we didn't really mention it, is I think it's a huge advantage in Alaska to have that observation lounge, to have the sun deck, everything in one place included, because Royal does have the sun deck, does have the Concierge, but they're in 3 different places.
And having that private one in the Haven.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, Haven for everything but Star Class.
Yeah.
Royal for Star Class hands down. So let's move over to put the Encore in the Caribbean, and let's put the Oasis class in the Caribbean as well, which is where it primarily sails from. Or you can also go from New York City. Yeah. So now the Oasis class is way bigger than the Encore. Way bigger than the Breakaway class. It's almost 50% bigger, just for reference.
If you haven't been on one of these ships, it's when you're on the top deck and you see a full-size pool on your side, the huge channel that Central Park is in, and then you see another full-size pool on the other side. It's pretty shocking.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, for inclusions, it has to go to Royal because they include all those things at no additional cost. So many things: laser tag, no additional cost; zip line, no additional cost; Flow Rider. You've got the 2 Flow Riders on that one. You've got the boardwalk. There's a bunch of stuff there. Aqua Theater. I mean, think about that for entertainment.
Aqua
put them in there. Entertainment wise, they have the same. I would say the equivalent. Hairspray was amazing. Grease was amazing. The equivalent there, but it's so much bigger.
Shrink with the walk around.
Absolutely, you walk all. Yeah, because for sure. You've got the dedicated comedy club. You've got jazz on 4.
Yeah.
You've got the Diamond Club, which I love. The thing with the Oasis class is they're huge. Now, once again, you can knock it if you're talking about size of the ship and it's too far. But what's interesting is it's so much wider. And so when you walk from front to back, it's not that much.
It's not that much bigger.
I mean, it is, but it isn't really.
But I mean, because the funny thing is when we do these filming trips and we go and film an Oasis class, it's way bigger because we're walking all over the place. Yeah. But it's funny because we went to the Getaway and the Escape. Yeah, there you go. And we were walking all the way forward from those aft rooms, and I was like, this is just as long.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's why the Oasis class is so limited as to where they can go, because it's massively wider. And of course, bringing a ship with 5,000 to 6,000 passengers in the port, you got to have certain things that they can accommodate. But it's the thing with those ships is it's also a marvel. Now, what I would say, one thing that we failed to mention a little bit in the previous one is the waterfront. on Encore. So what I love about the Breakaway Plus class ships is that the waterfront is a outside dining venue. Once again, I mentioned earlier, I love dining al fresco. Royal has a little of it, but hands down, if you want specialty restaurant experiences, you want to dine outside in Alaska or the Caribbean, hands down Norwegian.
And just evening walks.
Yep.
Around, and they have those 2 bars outside too.
Right.
That are, and those are
because the track down below is kind of enclosed because you have the which is great for rooms. You don't have anything that's obstructing with lifeboats, but it's kind of enclosed, so you don't have quite as much open space in that. But when you're comparing those two with the Oasis class, if you're in the Crown, if you're staying in that Royal Loft, Star Loft, the Grand Panoramic, Owner's Panoramic, or even the Crown Lofts, having that in one place is amazing. It really is a fantastic option to have the suite lounge and the coastal kitchen dining. Now, if you're accessing the sun deck, that's going to be midship, so I'd give it an advantage to Norwegian of having the sun deck in the haven itself. But deck space, even though the ship's way bigger, it has like 10 times the deck space available.
It really does.
Because one of the knocks on the Breakaway Plus class ships is that there's not as much pool space and deck space because they have the huge racetrack, they have the huge laser tag, the huge Vibe Beach Club. It takes up all of that space. And so the other thing too is that Oasis does have that huge solarium up front, so you have that great adults only area that's free. You do have Spice H2O on the older ships with Norwegian, but the Encore only has the Vibe, which is a paid adults only venue. But where the Oasis shines is that there's just a million more things to do and a ton more that's included on there. And some people feel it's too big of a ship. I don't. But some people do feel that it's too big of a ship and they want to go down to a significant
sometimes I feel like the people that say it's too big are obviously people that have not been on it.
Yeah.
Because having been on all those ships and filmed them, it's huge. When you're on the top, it's like, wow, this thing's huge. But when you're in Central Park, it doesn't feel like a huge ship.
No.
When you're on the boardwalk, it doesn't feel like a huge ship.
Right.
When they've done a really good job with those neighborhoods and having dining venues in each individual one. So you're not going from one area of the ship all the way, everybody isn't going to one spot to get food. Right. It's spread out. And I think they've done a really good job where I think there are people that would just like to sit in Central Park. And enjoy the
trellis bar right there.
Yeah, the trellis bar and the piped in bird noises and all the live plants. And you just, that's a vacation.
It's one interesting take that I had recently on that is I was on the Harmony for a conference for a week. And so, we're in conference rooms and theaters and all these things, learning about the product and, meeting people and figuring out how we can best serve our customers together. But I was on that ship for a week and, day 4, I was like, when was the last time I saw the ocean? And I know that sounds crazy because I couldn't go to the top. I was in a balcony room, but I was sharing it with my dad and I was leaving for conference meetings at 6:37 in the morning. There's no way he was waking up that early. And so it was kind of an interesting thought that it's so middle of the ship facing because there's so many things on it that are in the middle of the ship. The ice skating rink, the promenade, the Central Park, the boardwalk, they all kind of are facing in the middle now. Now, let's talk a little bit about the rooms themselves. Now, to me, this is a no-brainer. Royal, the Oasis class has rooms that nobody else has. The Aqua Theater suites, they have 2 ultra spacious and 4 spacious Aqua Theaters. They're amazing. These are full, good 2 bedrooms. They can hold 8 passengers. They're big enough for 8 passengers.
And they've got the multiple bunk beds,
right? Yeah.
So that you can split it up, so you can have 4 in that internal room, which is great for family.
Just for point of reference, next summer, Caribbean. There's 2 Oasis class ships. There are 0 2-bedroom Aqua Theaters from May through September. None available. They're all sold out. And you can wait list it. We're happy to take care of that for you. But it's a unicorn, right? These rooms fill up. People love them, and they go like that.
Not as much as the one unicorn.
The
4-bedroom villa. That is the unicorn.
So Harmony and Symphony. If you look at the Oasis and the Allure, these are 2 2-bedroom grand suites, so not star class. On the Symphony and the Harmony, these are star class. 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, enough room for 14 passengers, and you have a dining table on the balcony that holds 14.
It's funny if you watch the video of the room, you're seeing the pans, and it's like, I've seen this master bedroom already. Like it almost seems like it's repetitive, but it's like you have those 2 master suites, full master suites with their own master baths, and then you have those internal. It's a lot of space.
We went in fact, you'll probably see a surprised look on my face in those. I was like, didn't we already film this room? I was like, no. Just for reference, I have 2 bedrooms in my house, so it's a little bit blown away. But I mean, but what's insane about that is the value.
Oh yeah,
it's sold out.
Yeah.
I mean, that room is almost always sold out. We have to wait list it if we want to get it. And for all of these big suites, Norwegian, Royal, one of the things that we offer is you let us know what you're looking for, and we'll put it on a list so that when the deployment comes, we'll grab that at midnight or whenever it is when it comes out. Excuse me, I got hiccups there for a second. All right, so rooms and suites, star class, it's going to go to Royal again, hands down, not even close. Sky class, it's a little bit different because once again, you got the butler.
Yeah, you have to think about the inclusions, and because the Oasis class has so many inclusions,
right.
I feel like that brings Sky class up to compete a little bit more with Haven.
Yeah, definitely more than on the Quantum class.
Yeah.
But you know, the drink package for $20 a day with Norwegian is a pretty good included value. I mean, you're going to save, you know, for a couple, you're going to save what, $30 a day at least, $30 to $40 a day. So you're talking about $400 or $500 there. That's a pretty big inclusion. You know, also having a couple dinings is nice, and you don't get that. But the internet by far is better. So that's one difference is Sky class, which is that middle tier. Complimentary Voom internet for every single person in the room, so that's an advantage over Norwegian.
Yeah, that really is a huge.
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to think what else we want to compare, but you know, it's hard to compare these two. But if I'm cruising out of, you know, Florida, let's say I'm cruising out of Miami on the Encore, brand new terminal, cruising out of the Symphony of the Seas out of Miami, brand new terminal. You know, size to me would be the determining factor for this if you're traveling with a family. Now, I'm going to give the extreme edge to Royal when traveling with a family. There's more things for kids to do. There's more space for kids. There's more complimentary events for kids.
There's more diversity of activities.
The kids club's bigger for kids, all of those things.
And I like the Oasis Kids Club the best.
And to be honest, in general, we get a much higher review from our Haven customers that have older kids and who are traveling as couples or or groups of couples or multi-generational with grandma and grandpa. Because we get that a lot where families, you know, grandma and grandpa love the Haven and they want that space that they never have to be, you know, they'll go to a show, they'll go to dinner, but beyond that, they don't want to have 6,000 people around them. So, you know, the Haven itself makes the ship feel infinitely smaller than a ship that's huge. I mean, 160 plus thousand tons is a big ship. I mean, I think the Encore is the 5th or 6th largest ship in the world. Yeah. You know, won't be for long because MSC's building those bigger ones. But I mean, this is one of the biggest ships in the entire world. But what I would say is if you're staying in the Haven, many times, you know, multi-generational, different reasons, I'm going to give the advantage to Norwegian over Royal.
Well, and having the space for kids right there.
Yeah. So kids can access the pool. So, you know, not having to go to the main pool, just to, you know, think about this. If you're in a 2-bedroom family villa, very, very popular with our customers. Like I said, our best-selling ship, our best-selling would be the 2-bedroom Aqua Theater. There's just not enough of them for us to be able to sell. I have so many people that are waitlisted right now. It's crazy. You know, then once again, these are the peak times. There's still availability for, you know, February, and, January, December, things like that. You know, so, but when you're comparing the two, it's really hard to break down the comparison. But if you're going in the Haven itself, it's never going to be a bad experience. If you're going with Suite Class with Royal, it's never going to be a bad experience. But I would probably still go with Sky Class compared to you know, the Haven. I'm probably going to pick Norwegian, you know, for me, because everything in one place is such a beautiful advantage when you're traveling with a family.
It really is a game changer.
It is.
Like it really is, and it takes it to the next level.
There you go. So here's a question for you. What do you think about Icon Class? So this is going to be the next. Do you think that Royal is going to find a way? Because really the reason why they haven't been able to do this is the lofts.
Yeah.
The lofts have to be positioned in a certain way where you can't really have things above them and around them. But it'll be an interesting thing. I think Icon Class could do it. And then same thing with Leonardo. We know for sure they're going to have Haven. We know for sure it's going to be like this. But we're still hearing there's going to be a Concierge Class that could be the equivalent of Sky Class. Now, if they can put all those amenities and have a lounge and some of the things, that could blow away what Royal's doing with Sky Class right now.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, and I think that the biggest thing for me is giving the wins to one line over the other. That doesn't mean that's for everybody,
right?
Because you know the whole goal of these types of live streams is to really talk it out and have you kind of latch on to what you really like and what you would want in a cruise, and help you make that decision a little bit easier.
Well, and I mean, we can talk forever, which we have already, and we're going to answer your questions here in just a second. But what the truth is when my customers call, we talk about these things, and for their family, usually it's one thing. You know, honestly, like just for example, bathtub is a huge. I can't tell you how many people we've gone, you know, with Norwegian because they wanted that huge. You know, I have couples that take the 2-bedroom because they want that spectacular bathroom that's there. Another example, I had a client that I talked to earlier this morning whose son is on the autism spectrum. Royal Caribbean is the only cruise line that has been basically authorized by the autism, I think it's Autism Awareness, as an autism-friendly ship. So the people in the kids club understand trigger points and things like that. And so we work through, you know, choosing the right cruise, you know, places, talking about places, and for them having the genie, you know, her son has hard time with lots of loud stimulation, and so they can go out on the Aqua Theater. He can wear headphones, and he has the show to himself without all the people around and without everything else. So they got that 2-bedroom Aqua specifically for that. And the genie can set up the meals, the specialty meals in the room for the family. And so just those certain things that really make a difference. Now his brother is going to do every activity on the entire ship nonstop. And so finding those happy mediums is what we do. Traveling with a multi-gen group, you know, grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, kids, you know, sometimes, you know, when grandma and grandpa are in a suite, there's some things that they can't take advantage of that the family can't. So basically talking through it. So whatever you do, use a master cruise counselor. You work with somebody who knows the ins and outs of it. So I'm going to say overall, because Royal has Star Class, if you have to ask me what's better, I'm going to say Royal, the overall suite experience. If you're talking about the spaces on the ship themselves and the inclusions, it's going to go to Norwegian. So I know that that's a way to chicken out of answering that, but I'll give you that straight up answer for you and your family every time you call. That's my take. I don't know yours, if you think kind of the same thing or.
You know, I think it comes down to the type of cruise I want.
Yeah.
Because if I'm gonna take a really relaxing cruise to Alaska and I really want to enjoy the sights, I'm gonna pick Norwegian.
Yeah.
Mainly because of that observation lounge that's private.
Yeah.
Now Caribbean, I'm gonna choose Royal every time. Because you've got that warm atmosphere, you've got the flow riders, you've got all that stuff, and you can just eat, and that would include Quantum Class.
Yeah, well, there's more external space.
There's more stuff, and you've got the air conditioned solarium, which is
and heated.
Which is absolute game.
No, for non-Haven guests, there's no indoor pool at all on.
And I mean the soft serve location on that is very well placed.
That's
just
true.
Walk right out of the solarium, it's waiting.
That's true. Yeah. No, and I mean, my only real classification is where Azumi is, but that's different. Okay, so we've talked through this. Talked a lot about. I think we're an hour and 20 minutes in. We've gone very in depth. So now we're going to answer your questions. I apologize. I saw several people that made some very, very generous, stickers, super chats. Right now, guys, this means the world to us. You know, we've had an unbelievable last couple months sales-wise, but we get paid generally when you go, and you're not going right now. Yeah. And so it's been tough. So this extra revenue stream has meant the world. It's really meant the world to us, and we appreciate you guys doing that. But once again, even more so, if you can and you have a moment, hit that like button. Let's see if we can't push the likes up over 100. We've got over 100 in here right now, so it should be really easy to do. It just means the world to us because that means basically YouTube's going to promote it more, and more people are going to get to see the content. So let's roll out these questions, and I apologize that we didn't get to, if we don't get to everybody, if you've already left for, maybe you don't have an hour and a half with us today. But David Price going on Anthem next June, day after my wedding, upgraded the junior suite. Any good ideas to surprise my wife while on the cruise? Well, I mean, there's a million ways. If you really want to surprise her, upgrade to Star Class, and the genie can surprise her every 5 seconds. But to me, it's about what you like and what's important to you. So when our customers,
what she likes.
Well, he's going to be married. You refers to her anyway.
Yeah,
so
you're right. Yeah.
Come on. You know.
All right.
Taylor is happily married as well as I am. Javon, thank you so much. Welcome as always. Lori, thank you so much for joining us. Lori's actually going to be with her family in that 2-bedroom Aqua Theater. Her parents just added on. So true multi-generational family group there. And thank you so much for that generous super chat as well. Krista, thanks for joining us. Tashi, thank you. Louis, looking forward to the comparison. Absolutely. And I think we have an appointment tomorrow. I'll double check that. All right. So that's phone notified me. Yes, awesome. You are late. Thank you. I didn't realize that we were slightly late. I wish I would have known. Please mention max occupancy, family with 4 kids. So the nice thing with that, Danielle, is that essentially every room that we spoke about can handle 4.
Yeah.
Now, if you have, let me see. Oh, I lied. 4 kids. You want that so specifically, I think we did cover it in depth. But you're looking at the 2-bedroom family villa on Norwegian, the deluxe owners on Norwegian, the 2-bedroom grand on Royal, the Aqua Theater Suites on Royal, and then also the Royal Loft on Royal. So
unfortunately, the Quantum Star Class ships are tough.
Really tough.
Really tough because you only have one option.
Royal Loft for 6. But I do have some families that will do, depending on the age of the kids, they'll book that like grand loft and then put 2 older kids in an inside cabin that's right across from it. So there are ways to do it. Not everybody's going to have the amenities, but in that case, that's not going to be that big of a deal for that. Okay. We know it's going to be worth the wait. Oh, thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. There we go. All right. Thanks for the well-shot and edited ship tours. That's him. Hope the CDC lets cruising start soon. And let's see. If theaters can't, I don't see cruising much differently. So we talked about this yesterday, but basically, I believe there will be production shows on a cruise ship before there are on Broadway. Broadway's going to be, but keep in mind, guys, Broadway is in a city of 8 to 10 million people, and
people have to take the subway to get there.
Right. Generally, you do, or just cry while you're in your Uber for 5 hours. That was the last time I went to see Hamilton. Actually, my last show was Hamilton, and we were staying in the Bowery, I think, and it took over an hour to get to Midtown there for the show. All right, let's keep going there. College dorms will be open. And Chris, that's an interesting thing. So we didn't talk about it yet, but we just put out a news video. So check it out if you have time. But on our news video, we talked about the blue ribbon panel that Norwegian, oddly enough, Norwegian and Royal have come together. We did not see them playing together.
No.
And I mean, they're huge competitors, especially in the suite market.
And the panel and the fact that it's open source is I wouldn't say it shocked me.
Do you want to give a quick description real quick? Just what it's all about?
Yeah, so basically they're going to try and do the CDC's job?
Yeah.
And put together, and this actually comes on the wake of the EU releasing their plan too. So it is to put together a strategy of how to keep everybody safe, the contingency plans that would happen if there are a couple of COVID cases on board, and basically put a roadmap back to cruising. And they're doing it with some pretty heavy hitters. You have the old governor of Utah.
Mike Leavitt. He's the former head of Health and Human Services, and the former governor, and he was also the head of the EPA.
Yeah.
So I mean, he understands these things, and probably at this point, almost as importantly, he has the right connections to the people. The other gentleman who's the co-chair is it Scott Gottlieb, I think is his name. I know his last name is Gottlieb, but he is the former head of the FDA, which is going to be a huge part of this, and he's worked with the CDC. And in fact, I saw him on, I think, Face the Nation this weekend. So I mean, he is out there. But once again, having knowledge, but also connections. But what's so great is virtually everybody on this panel, I think there's 10 so far, everybody on this panel has worked for the CDC or has worked with the CDC. In fact, one of the other participants, she headed AIDS research, AIDS and HIV, several other pandemics, including Ebola, and what that looked like. And so these people know what they're talking about. One of the most interesting comments that I heard was that they said that they believe by the time they're done that it could be safer to go on a cruise ship than to visit a big city. Because you can control so many other factors. Now, it's important to note and say that COVID's out there. If you choose to go on a cruise, if you choose to go to the grocery store, if you choose to go to the doctor, if you choose to go for a walk with your family, there is a risk. We know that, and people are going to have to make their own choices as we go forward. But having a panel who can really dig into this is what it looks like. This is what ventilation needs to look like so it's as safe as possible. The as possible being the key term there. What it looks like to temperature check people, what it looks like to COVID test people, what it looks like to operate a dining room, a cafeteria style versus a buffet, a show. And so what we're excited about is they're going to share this knowledge with everybody. It's truly open source. So one of the places that they said is for colleges. colleges have been asking them, how can we solve this issue of a dormitory in a similar way to how crew live on board a ship? Usually you have 1, 2, sometimes 4 that share a mid balcony or a mid bathroom, things like that. Some of them, I wish they all had balconies. That'd be awesome for everybody. But basically, they're getting together to look into and see what cruising has to look like. Now, the European Commission just put out a 49-page in-depth look at that.
And the big thing for me, reading through that whole EU, all those pages, is we've gotten a lot of comments, and both of us are replying back to a lot of the comments on YouTube, and a lot of the comments are, well, what happens if you have people that are sick on board? What do you do? How do you get them off the ship? How do you safely get them off without?
Well, what happens if somebody gets sick, like normally people do, with a cold or flu or something like that? Yeah.
But just to see in the EU document, all those contingencies, the communication that the additional communication that has to happen between the port to notify the port that they're coming to the cases. Do they need ambulances? All the transfers and all that stuff. Just to see that kind of in writing, for me was a big step, because it's kind of like, the leading up to this, you have Norwegian's health plan, and then you have the Virgin Voyages, they released theirs. And just seeing that, it's like, okay, this is good. I like the prevention side, but what's on the back end? What's to protect against? And then seeing the EU's plan, and then a couple days later to see Royal and Norwegian come together with this panel.
Yep.
I mean, for me, it's just like this is the building blocks to coming back to cruise.
It's what had to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, and we still think that small ship cruising is happening in America this summer, and big ship cruising will be back in the fall, but it will probably be first in Europe. And what we're going to see, and it will probably also be from Taiwan by Genting, another big ship company out there. All right, let's move through these here. Your videos are so cool. Let's see, love the Jewel of the Seas. We can't wait to film the Radiance class. I've been on all of them, and I love them, and I'm ready for that. Jack
is going to be tough.
Absolutely. Lori, thank you so much for that generous super chat. Can you tell us about the new Oasis class ship? Wonder, basically what we know so far is what we see on the Symphony. We'll see. There's going to be a lot more coming out here pretty soon. Let's see. There we go. Jennifer, I love this topic because I get so torn. I know we were working on the difference for you in Alaska specifically. I think we may have even talked about that back then. Jaden, let's see. I'm obsessed with the Joy. For sure I am, because I've been on it 5 times in the last year. Can't say that about any other ship. Alex sent an email today, had an Odyssey booking that was canceled. Yeah, I did see that. I think we have an appointment set. So sorry about that. We're bummed that the Odyssey is getting pushed back, but unfortunately, it's just the way of the world right now. With social distancing, reduced capacity, do you think suite costs will come down? I don't think so. I think that they're selling so incredibly well that they're probably going to continue to go up.
I would say 2021 is more sold out than 2020 was last year.
Oh yeah, they both Norwegian and Royal have said that they're far ahead, and Royal and Norwegian have both started to raise their prices and have said continuously we will be raising our prices from here on out, for sure. Justin, junior suite versus grand suite benefits on Oasis. So we talked a bit about this. Thank you so much for that generous super chat. We talked about this pretty in depth. That grand suite and above you get the full suite benefits. Junior suite and below you don't. So, oh goodness, I got the hiccup happening.
And for me, the internet on the Oasis class ships is huge.
Absolutely. So I mean, huge. The internet's a huge, but once again, coastal kitchen, suite lounge, sun deck.
I mean, technically, you still get dinner with the junior suite. I mean, you have to make a reservation on Oasis.
Right, but it's limited to 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And if it's a really full sailing, 1 maybe.
Yeah.
So I try to tell people, don't use that as one of your real amenities. Yeah. Think about everything else beyond that, for sure. One thing I disagree with on Norwegian is the whole haven. Royal lets you roam the whole ship. Well, Norwegian also lets you roam the whole ship, but they don't let everybody roam. And so I think what you're saying is that if you're not staying in a suite, you don't like that you don't get that space. Well, that's the whole point. But on the flip side, I will say that the massive haven, if you're in a balcony or below, it does affect the total amount of public space on board. There's more space for haven guests, which reduces, like if you think about the Quantum, the full second pool, the full 270, the extra pool, all that to me. But
it does, but you still have those areas. You still have the full sun deck you still have those sweet private sun decks. It's just that I feel like Royal kind of tucks them away in more inconspicuous places. it's not necessarily less or more space. It's just the fact that all the haven space is in one spot.
Right. Well, and so another question here that I'm getting is on the Joy, and the question about we talked about it in the video, or we talked about it earlier, but basically on the Joy, they had concierge class for the Chinese market. I loved it. I wish they would have left it on there, but they converted it to kind of a suite, a tweener category. Not above mini suite, below full suite.
Throw in some amenities.
And some of the amenities are great, but one of the things that people have been very concerned about is the fact that they added approximately 30 suites to the Haven. The Joy had less people in the Haven to begin with, and the Haven common area is significantly bigger than the Escape. So to me, if you compare it to the Escape, it's got more space still, even with those extras. And my understanding is when you count the Bliss and the Encore also have many spa suites that don't exist, so that's more, and they also have those midship penthouses. So I don't think that that's a detriment. I think it's a detriment compared to what it used to be, but I think it was so much better before that now it's essentially on par. But Louis will talk about that at our appointment tomorrow. All right, there we go. Ken, I've stayed in Junior and I'm looking forward to the Grand Suite. So Ken just booked a Grand Suite on our cruise. So Ken and his son will be joining us, and I think it was the Grand Suite with the extra large balcony that we were talking about there, which is perfect for Alaska. So thanks for joining us, Ken. Arnold, if you prefer some of the smaller ships, Lions' Regent become a great value because of the inclusions. Room might be a little bit small. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Overall value is always it. Before my wife and I had my daughter, we went from cruising on the big ships all the time to a ton on Azamara, Oceania. We love Regent. We love Silver Seas for sure. Seabourn. I mean, Crystal. It once again, we talked about this before. It's all about your personality and what you're looking for in that cruise.
Well, we mentioned earlier, leading up into this videos, that this is more about being able to take advantage of all of those extra, suite class amenities.
Absolutely. RB says, I've watched all of your videos, Danny, and you seem happier when you're touring on Royal Caribbean. I can't speak to that, but it might just be. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of whether I'm cruising or we have less time. But I mean, I love both of them. What's not to love there? All righty. Here we go. Sam, that is an unbelievable, really, really generous super chat. I appreciate that. Sam has the Navigator book for back-to-back, and also booked the Azamara with his parents. So thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate that. What about We Will Rock You? That is an awesome one. Love that. You think it's the best in the fleet? I'll be honest, I haven't seen it. So that may be a negative for me.
Put this on.
My losing.
I think we,
losing battery there. Sorry about that.
Go for it.
Okay. So, I mean, I was seeing it move. Oh, yeah. I see it, the green now. So, anyway.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right. So,
the mic will be on you.
Keep talking there. Let's keep going with the questions. What's up, guys? Hope for cruises in the fall. Can't wait for our trip on April on the Anthem. Yeah, Clint and his family has a Grand Suite on the Anthem. Ken, but who has the best chicken sandwich? Ooh, Norwegian Joy.
Norwegian Joy.
American Diner. Best chicken sandwich out there on a cruise ship, I think. There you go. Thank you so much, Jeff, for the generous super chat from Massachusetts. Gary, thank you once again for the generous super chat. Ken got there. Coastal Kitchen. Yep. There we go. Our latest cruise news video on Crystal segment, you said that excursions are included. If I said that, I was incorrect. So Crystal does not include excursions. Oh, no, sorry. I know what you're saying.
No,
River cruise. They always include them on River cruise, never include them on Ocean cruise. So, sorry, I confused myself. Let's see. Booked with you on October 1st out of Miami, and I don't remember excursions being included. So there's the clarification on that. Just on River, not on Ocean. Louis, thank you for that very, very generous super chat, and look forward to talking to you tomorrow as well. Do you think the October Miami trip will go with us? So, I mean, we believe October 1st on Crystal is going to happen. We also have heard from them that we'll have further clarification before final payments due. But, ultimately, guys, this is going to come down to the CDC, and it's going to come down to the numbers in Florida. That's really what it's all about. Concern with potential social distancing like EU plan is how incredibly isolated solo cruisers will be. It's true. We don't know what that's going to look like. Now, Norwegian has the studio. the inside studios, and that could be an amazing experience. But once again, we don't think that people won't be able to interact. They just, in certain areas, won't be able to be very close together. So we believe that they'll still have the single get-togethers and all those things, but we're going to be on the Symphony of the Seas the 19th of September, and we'll let you know what that looks like. All right. Thought came to you. Video tour Queen Mary 2. Yes, absolutely. We will be doing the Queen Mary 2. We had it scheduled, but unfortunately had it canceled. Good morning from Nepal. We cannot wait to get to Nepal. One of my best friends used to live there, and we love everything about the culture and the people, and we can't wait to spend some time with you. And we do a lot of work with people that do treks in Nepal. So love to join you there. Through culture, dance, as you put in there, absolutely. Tiffany, I did get your wedding invitation. Sorry we haven't replied yet. That's pretty much because we just don't quite know yet. But if we can be there in October, 1,000%, we will be there. A few more questions left here. Sean and Casey, good to see everyone. Same here. I miss you walking around the hip with an umbrella. Shaq's Big Chicken. Well, Shaq's Big Chicken's not out yet. When it comes out, I'll get back to you on that. But once again, I'm going to stick with the Joy chicken sandwich there. PJ, late to the live, an important question. Which cruise line do you think has the best pizza? Ooh, that's a tough one. Can I cheat here and say Holland America, the New York pizza? Now, the pizza on Norwegian that's made at La Cucina is the best because it's a dedicated pizza oven. It's phenomenal. But Jamie's Italian is pretty darn good as well, too. But in Sorrento's, having that Sorrento's 24/7, I love that as well. Okay, we plan on doing video tours with all the big companies that we work with. What's your favorite Royal Caribbean ship? The answer is the one that I'm on. So I'm going to ask Taylor just to come back in here real quick. Here, hold on one second. Just grab a seat. We have worked through all the questions, and we've got to get going here really quick because as I don't think either one of us noticed, we were an hour and a half into this. But if you have any other questions, throw them up there. We will answer, of course. But just wanted to say thank you so much for your time today, for sharing this. We're going to do more of these SmackDowns, more of these comparisons, and maybe not so robust because I think basically we just compared a mass of things.
Well, I think it's helpful.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, but the other mic did run out. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for your time today. Javon, I see you there. Great question. That'll be my last question today. What's better, lift and shift or FCC? So it depends. If you can get the cabin category that you want, like for example, I had some people that were in a summer booking, and by moving it to like February or March, the price was low enough that just taking the FCCs and moving it was actually more beneficial than doing that, especially if you have the 125% future cruise credits. Now, where, in some cases like yours, the category either isn't available or it's a lot more expensive. If that's the case, lift and shift is always that. But it's really hard because they're very strict with lift and shift with the idea of a month before or after. So if your cruise is booked in August like yours was, they're including July, they're including September, but they're not moving it out into spring break dates. So we're working very hard on that. It's a one-off, unique thing for you. So thank you for asking that. Just note that I'm working on it. I've talked to them just about every single day. We're trying to see if we can get revenue management to make an exception. But once again, those suites are almost all sold out, so it's even harder to get those exceptions when they're not available. So we'll work through that for you as we always do. We love working with you, Javon. Thank you guys, everybody out there. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to wrap it up here.
Should we give them a little sneak peek of what's happening next week?
I don't know what's happening next week, Taylor. Go ahead, do it, and then you can hit that. I'll hit the end stream button when we're done.
Well, we're heading south.
We are up the border.
South of the border. We are heading down to film something we've never done before.
Absolutely. So we've had a ton of our customers who have asked, do you sell other things? And the answer is yes. We're a full service agency. We've been doing that for 40 years. We're going to go to Mexico. So we're heading down to Cabo. Our friends down in Cabo have invited us to come. Basically, we're working through all of that, what it looks like right now. But our goal is to work with several different resorts, film the resorts like we do our ship tours, and the room and suite tours the way that we do the same. And frankly, it's going to be a little bit of a proof of concept. But they reached out to us because they loved what we were doing for cruise lines. And unfortunately, right now, we can't get on a cruise ship. And, we thought we would be on a cruise ship in a couple of weeks here. Actually, we thought we were going to be on a cruise ship a couple of weeks before, and then next week and the week after. And right now, just for your knowledge, we're booked the 19th of September on the Symphony, the 1st of October on the Crystal Serenity. Then we're booked on the 16th of October on the Scarlet Lady, Virgin Voyages. And then we have a bunch more after that, because that's what we do. And we can't wait to get back on board. So stay tuned for that. We'll see what that looks like coming up, and we'll let you know. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. And yeah, go ahead. Close it out. Thanks, guys.